right, we're live on satellite. All right, guys, we should be going live on the stream. And it's nice to be back. Well, I was going to say in warm Florida, but it's not that warm here, dude. It was like just about freezing last night. I think it is freezing tonight. And when I left Georgia yesterday morning, I was standing in the middle of snow flurries, and it was like 17 degrees. So
going to be 70 here in southern Colorado.
It's 69 here today.
It's nuts.
Is that right?
Yeah, we need some snow desperately.
Well, there's a place you can go right now and get some.
Yeah, I know, out east.
Well, good for you guys. So
it requires 2 forms of ID to work as a snow shoveler.
Yeah,
they don't even listen to themselves, do they? They don't even listen to what they're saying.
Randy,
I saw a post about that, and I thought, okay, this is some more anti-left propaganda, but it was real. It was real,
completely real. Yeah.
Looking at a picture of Randy Sutton, I guess he's still in Tucson, and it says that he's doing an interview on Fox News involving the Guthrie investigation. So, wow, still there. It's been weeks.
You know, they're not paying him for that.
I didn't know that. I assumed they would have.
No, I did too. I guess they're obviously paying his travel, but yeah, he's not getting anything for that.
He's got his. Well, I mean, yeah, he's got the travel, from what I understand, and the accommodations, but not ideal. So.
Well, I've done nothing on any scale that you guys have, but I've done some interviews on, analyzing cases and whatever. And, most of the time what we have to say, particularly in this Guthrie case, is, we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. It's a strange one for sure.
Best guess, yeah.
What are you thinking, Chip? You thinking burglary, or are you thinking actual kidnapping where she died on him?
No, look, you got to go with your gut, right? And I actually used to investigate missing persons, and I've had a couple of really high profile ones that ended up being homicides, so but with this one, even that said, and with the experience, how do you know, so I'm not inclined to think it was a burglary, just because
it doesn't make sense to take the body. Doesn't make sense to take the body. Yeah. Just leave.
But do I think that she's still alive?
No.
Because other things would have transpired if she was. What would be, unless they just want to, roll around with an 84-year-old woman and just have for companionship or something,
There's a possibility that the media spooked him and they killed her and buried her somewhere and just left. There was this possibility that it was actually planned kidnapping ransom, but they got so much media attention. They were like, there's no way we're getting away with this. We're going to have to ditch this body and just not say anything to anybody.
And you picking up trash within a 2-mile radius, thinking it might be evidence. How many cigarette butts, beer cans, even backpacks?
The one smart thing that I heard they did the other day was they had Google run Google searches, and they do have somebody that hit on.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Yeah,
before
her wealth, her net worth, and some other stuff. Now, I'm disappointed that the sheriff, with any investigation, but especially with one like this, where you've got the news media and the whole world watching, the sheriff turning down the FBI for certain services and sending things out to a Florida lab. When time is of the essence, that is not something I really like to see. And then you get concerned about, okay, there's a camera grab. You want to, how many opportunities do you have in your career as a sheriff to be in the front, on the front page of papers across the country and stuff. And you hate to think that he would, compromise the investigation because of that. But how do you turn away the FBI and not let them run? This is what they excel at better than anybody. And so
it's one of the few things they're good at.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Literally, he said it with a straight face, but there's a lot of truth in that now. But the new FBI, Trump's FBI, is much better. Well, they have been spinning their wheels trying to get their name back, right? I mean, their reputation back, because they lost it under Biden and some other stuff. I think they've proved their worth now. But yeah, how do you turn those guys down? How do you not, they didn't have to. I don't think that they necessarily would have waited to do the genealogy thing if things didn't work out with the databases. I think that they would have just started doing everything. There's just so much ball dropping, and when time is not on your side, you can't wait for this stuff. I suspect, and I told Randy because he's there, but I suspect there's some other ball dropping that's gone on and I'll let, well, hopefully, if it happened, Randy will hopefully find out about it over there. But I suspect there's other ball dropping that's going on that we'll find out about later. But yeah.
Well, I appreciate his little blip on the Wounded Blue site where he was talking about the pressure and the exhaustion on all the officers down there working, double and triple time. So that's an aspect people in generally don't think about. These guys are working their tails off.
And speaking of the Wounded Blue, I had, before I left on vacation, I had reached out again and reminded them to put up the video of Travis and I. And when I checked yesterday, it still was not up, and the contest ends at the end of the month. So just thought
I've reviewed that, and I've come to the conclusion it's a deep fake. I don't think you guys did that.
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish. Hey, Travis and I both wish that was true. Well.
I mean, if it was AI, you could have included me.
Well, we're gonna wait until you do the real full ride, Chief. Sorry, it's gonna happen when you least expect it. Travis is gonna distract you. I'll come up from behind and grab you with a glove. All right, we're 20 seconds out, guys. I'm gonna start the music and we'll get this party started. So, and it looks like we are live on LinkedIn. And we're at Rumble, where Chili's at. We're waiting for more people to come up. So here we go. We're starting the show on radio. All right, guys, and welcome to Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com. My name is Chip DeBlock, and I'm your host, and we're a group of law enforcement professionals that talk about today's news and issues, but we do it from a law enforcement perspective. Let me introduce the crew. Guys, if you don't mind waiting for the video portion of our show, we've got Dr. Joel Schultz, retired police chief, so thanks so much for being back on the show, Doctor. Also, we're like top heavy with doctors today. We have Dr. Travis Yates, retired police major from the Tulsa Police Department, so thanks for being on the show. And guys watching the video portion of the show, you probably have picked up by now, like most of us have, that the hat Travis Yates is wearing does not match the color of the clothing he's wearing, but he is making a statement. So don't hold that against. Look at the chief laughing. Don't hold that against him. More about that. But we do like that. We do like the hat, Dr. Yates. It is pretty pristine. Can you just tell our listening audience that is audibly listening, they don't have the benefit of video, what you have on your head?
It's depicts the best baseball franchise of all time, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I wear it with pride because my family is from Los Angeles. I was born in Torrance, and there were two things mandated as a child: you had to be a Dodger fan, and you had to watch the Rose Bowl parade. So I still comply with both those mandates from my parents.
You do. Oh, God bless you. All right. I love it. Hey, a shout out to our sponsors. Gulls, our title sponsor at gulls.com. We also have complianttechnologies.com, our satellite sponsor. And yes, we've been on satellite radio since Cinco de Mayo last year. Also, we have gunlearn.com, my Medicare.live, safeguardrecruiting.com, our streaming sponsor. And look, if you're an agency and you're having recruiting issues, or you think you're having recruiting issues, you probably haven't reached out to Safeguard Recruiting yet. So safeguardrecruiting.com, they'll help you get it done, but they're going to help you get qualified candidates. We're not talking about, bribing people to get a job in law enforcement that don't belong. And then your attrition rate's going to be, out the wazoo later. So yeah, Safeguard Recruiting. And they've also, because they're our streaming sponsor, we're streaming the live show to over 1 million followers thanks to them. We also have twobells.com. They built a new online store at leoroundtable.com. A shout out to Brian Burns for the Tampa Free Press at tampafp.com. Thanks for carrying the content, Brian. We also have Ray Dietrich, formerlawman.com, and our very own, you guessed it, Travis Yates with lawofficer.com. Thanks to all those entities for helping make this show happen. And I've got I might as well just mention it. This week we're announcing, I've got there's a new site that's going up that I'm behind. Travis is aware of it. We've had some deep conversations. I've asked him for some advice on some of this stuff. So yeah, we've got a new site coming up, going online. It's actually online, just no one knows the address yet. And we're going to be using that for special content. I'm trying to talk Travis and then maybe using some content from there on Law Officer, lawofficer.com. But more information as that comes out, when you guys hear about it, I think that everybody's going to really like it. And it's out on the edge a little bit, so we'll keep you guys informed. But thanks to our sponsors for helping make this show happen. And now, what in the world are we talking about today? We've got a lot of news items because I've been gone for 8 days. So we're going to start off talking. There's 3 main topics, and we'll get to the other stuff, hopefully, as time permits. But we have shots fired at Mar-a-Lago and an armed man killed entering Trump's Florida resort. We've also got Iran, this big mess going on with Iran and using enriched uranium. And guys, we're going to war. That's just little doubt. And then we've got the White House roast Trudeau, Canada, after the U.S. Olympic team wins gold. And U.S. teams win gold. We have Detroit Police Chief. He walks back a call to fire the officers that called Border Patrol. And they're still getting disciplined, but he's not going to fire them. Then we have body cam video showing officers and a canine grabbing a bad guy, a carjacker in Daytona. And we've got a man arrested for aggravated battery on a peace officer after he shows off his body. That was... there was some nudity involved in that one. We've got off-duty officer stops an active shooter in a barber shop. That's pretty cool. A man arrested for aggravated battery and a peace officer after he shows off his body. But wait, am I getting these things mixed up here? Now, let's see. We have the man arrested for aggravated battery and a peace officer after he shows off his body. And then we've got this other one. I got to check out these 2 articles and see which one's accurate and which one's not. We've got a Hartford police officer fatally shoots a guy who was armed with a knife during a welfare check. So we've got that one as well. So guys, stay tuned. Let's go ahead and get started on these 3 main topics. TampaFreePress.com is where we got this first one. Shots fired at Mar-a-Lago. An armed man killed entering Trump's Florida resort. And there's a couple articles in reference to that. The second one says North Carolina man shot and killed after armed entry at Trump's Mar-a-Lago in Florida, which I like better. So Sunday morning security breach at Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida, ended in a fatal shooting of this armed guy who came all the way from North Carolina, and he drove into the secure perimeter of President Donald Trump's residence. Now remember, Mar-a-Lago is an active, golf resort. The U.S. Secret Service confirmed that this guy, they identified him as a 21-year-old. I'm not going to give his name out, but he was killed by law enforcement after he ignored orders to disarm. And he basically had a gas can and a shotgun. I wouldn't say that those are the 2 weapons of choice I would use in a situation like this. Shotgun, you've got to get really up close and personal to be able to use that. I don't know how he thought he was going to take on security or Secret Service or deputies there with that. We've got 2 Secret Service agents and a Palm Beach sheriff deputy that confronted this guy. The Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw stated in a news conference, confirmed that what I just said, shotgun and gas canister. When they commanded him to drop the items, when they saw him, he reportedly sets down the gas can, but he raises the shotgun into a firing position. What an idiot! The agents and the deputy, they light him up, and they recover the shotgun. They covered the shotgun's packaging inside the vehicle that the guy drove up in, and they thought that he acquired the weapon while he was traveling south from his home state. And this guy was reported missing by his family in North Carolina just days before this incident went down. And the FBI and the Secret Service are currently working to develop a psychological profile of this 21-year-old guy. A specific motive has not been established. And at the time of the shooting, President Trump wasn't even there. Him and First Lady Melania Trump, that they were, at the White House. And only 5 days ago, they do point out that a separate incident occurred in Washington, D.C., where an 18-year-old was arrested after running towards the U.S. Capitol with another loaded shotgun, and that didn't work out for him as well. So we got an 18-year-old, the other week, and then we got this 21-year-old. Are you seeing a pattern here, Travis Yates?
Yeah, let me help out the FBI on their profiling. They're crazy. Okay, they're crazy. We have a mental illness problem in this country fueled by the media and politicians that are using buzzwords to set off their mental illness. I mean, am I the only one that finds it odd that we've got a president of the United States that there have been at least 3 people take his life, one actually get a round off, and we're more outraged about the FBI director being at the Olympics? I mean, is that the world we're living in, that nobody wants to even talk about these stories? It seems so outrageous to me that this is the normalcy that's been built into this country.
Well, thanks, Dr. Yates. Doctor, man, these doctor titles are getting me confused. Dr. Schultz.
Well, Dr. DeBlock, you got an honorary, I'm sure, somewhere.
Somewhere.
We were just before the show started officially, we were talking a little bit about how all of us are compelled at one time or another to make consultant commentary for the media on one thing and another. And a lot of times we just don't know. We don't know other than Travis's probably pretty accurate assessment of the whole situation. You just got a nut job. But we also have to consider, is there something more nefarious going on? We think this person's a lone actor, and it was very clumsily and stupidly done with, as you point out, Chip, not the best weapons. And by the way, you remember a few years ago, Biden was all anti-rifle, anti-assault weapon. And he said, get a shotgun. Just get a shotgun.
Yeah. He's
yeah, because they don't hurt anybody. Right. So, but was this guy put up to this suicide mission as a distraction? Was it intel gathering? One of the things that we always have to be aware of for you patrol officers out there, if you've got something going on that doesn't make sense, but it causes a lot of attention on one side of town, you better have somebody look on the other side of town. So that's just, for those conspiracy theorists out there, I'll throw that out as a possible theory. I heard one commentator say it must have been suicide by cop, because there's no way that he was going to penetrate and get close to anybody and, without getting shot. But it also might be a testing of the perimeter, because, from the last golf course attempt, there's some security issues there. So I'm kind of like Travis in that, this dig for motive, we got to know a motive. We have to know what's on the inside of this guy's mind. We're not going to know.
Yeah. Well, good point, Shellman. Yeah, 1:30 in the morning. So, anyhow, that's the latest with that. We'll keep you guys informed. We'll probably have our Secret Service dynamic duo on the show to kind of give us any inside scoop they get on this thing. That'll be, former special agents in charge, Rich Staropoli, and Frank Loveridge. But moving along, guys, we've got another, world news story here. WashingtonTimes.com, according to Witkoff, Iran is a week away from having enough enriched uranium for a bomb. Now, I had read not way back when, but recently they were at 60%. And of course, there's certain, you have to have at least 90, I think, for weapons grade uranium. So the White House special envoy, Steve Witkoff, which is who they've been saying that Trump is listening to when he makes the decision on if and when they do something against Iran. But he's warning that Iran is about a week away from having enough enriched uranium to create at least one nuclear bomb, which would be scary. Witkoff said that Tehran had been enriching uranium at up to 60%, which we had previously, learned over the last few weeks. And he said that was well beyond the capacity needed for civilian use. So, which points to the fact that it points to the motive on why enrich uranium above the point for civilian use, and that's because you want to make a bomb, right? And so he talks about the Islamic Republic has non-enriched uranium at the 90% weapons grade level. But while that may be true, it's amassed a substantial stockpile of 60% enriched uranium. And that's about 90% of the work required to reach the 90% purity rate, which is what they want. Guys, we're coming up on our first commercial break. We'll cover the rest of this in a second. Commercial break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, it's time to talk about our title sponsor, Galls at Galls.com. And, as police officers, one thing that we do really good is we buy gear, right? And when you throw the online mix, the choices are limitless. So I want to remind everybody about what's really important here. It's about supporting the companies that actually support law enforcement. And I don't know of a company that does that better than Galls at Galls.com. Even their motto is proud to serve those who serve, which, of course, they do in spectacular fashion. And not only that, they walk the talk by supporting dozens of focused organizations like this radio show. So when you're looking for gear, please support our title sponsor by going to Galls at Galls.com, and they're going to do you one better. For the loyal listeners of the show, they've got a radio code I'm giving to you. It's radio15. Using that code, you can get 15% off most purchases at Galls.com, and it also lets them know where you're coming from. Leo Roundtable, right? So go to Galls.com, use radio code radio15 to get 15% off, and they have gift cards. Hook up your family, friends, and loved ones with the new Galls gift card. They will be your new best friends. Galls.com. All right, we've got 2 minutes before we come back to the radio portion of the show. And off to a good start, gentlemen.
Not as good as it gets there.
Yeah. So back to drinking my my Freedom Punch from Black Rifle Energy. Love it. Thank you, MBS. MBS is over on Rumble right now watching. So, and let me see some of the commentary there. I guess where MBS is at, it's pretty cold still. That's where cheap is in Colorado too, but it's Bill says it's 52 degrees in Pensacola, and it's only 32 degrees in Northwest Colorado. And golly, in Chile, 28 in Pennsylvania. Golly, that's just that's cold. So when I was leaving, where was I? I was in like Cleveland, Georgia yesterday, which is near Dahlonega, and it was like 17 degrees, and there were like snow flurries when I'm like loading up my car with luggage and stuff. And so then I drive down to Florida, and it's still freezing down here in Florida. I don't know what's going on while I'm on vacation, guys, but somebody dropped the ball. Sending all the cold weather over here.
I'm not seeing Al Gore making commentary about this weather shift. He predicted this a long time ago.
That's true. The whole climate thing. Yeah, Al Gore. Of course, don't forget.
But we still haven't. We're going to be in the 80s in some places in eastern Colorado, and we're still short of the record highs, which were in the 1980s. So, as somebody said, what's the science behind the rising temperatures in Colorado? And our answer is spring.
Spring.
What a scam, man. Unbelievable.
All right, we're 10 seconds out, guys. I'm going to start Travis's favorite music. Here we go. Back to radio. All right, guys, and welcome back. Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip the Block, and I'm your host. We're joined by Dr. Joel Schultz, retired police chief, Dr. Travis Yates, retired police major from Tulsa. And we left off talking about special envoy Steve Witkoff talking about Iran being about a week away from having enough enriched uranium to create a nuclear bomb. And just continuing on with that, the Islamic Republic has not enriched. Well, they're talking about enriched uranium. Anything above the civilian level, you're really going for, the military grade, which is what you want to make a nuclear bomb from. And Witkoff talks about it being really dangerous, that we can't have that. And he appeared at Fox News channel's My View on Saturday. President Trump wants to know why Iranian leaders are continuing to dig in their heels over developing a nuclear arsenal despite the growing U.S. military presence in the region. And so I know it's got to be frustrating for some people because a lot of us operate off of what we normally operate, even all of us that we in law enforcement, we know that people are not always rational, right? But we usually count on most people being rational, right? So when you're dealing with people and this stuff just doesn't make any sense. So it sounds to me that Trump would work with most people. Trump's a little amazed that this stuff has, he's built up a huge military presence all around Iran, and they're not playing ball, right? It's like they just don't care if they go to war and get wiped off the freaking planet, So with and here's a quote saying that with the amount of sea power and naval power that we have over there, why haven't they come to us and say, we don't want a weapon? So here's what we're prepared to do. That's what Witkoff said. And it's hard to get them to that place. Now, goes on to say that the Iranian president, Mossad, said that Saturday that Tehran would not bow to international pressure or internal dissent, because they've got a lot of internal dissent going over there, riots and stuff. They're just going to kill the rioters, right? Or the protesters. But despite the obstacles, the president said that Iran has the will and the ability to fight back. And in the event, this is a quote, in the event that is subjected to a military aggression, Iran will respond decisively and proportionally in the exercise of its inherent right of self-defense. And he went on to say that, according to the government-run Iranian Students News Agency, we will strive for Iran to be the very last drop of our blood. So wow. My prediction's that we're definitely going to war, and that this limited military response is going to be a lot more than what people are expecting, and I don't think it needs to be limited because we don't want a retaliatory strike. But Chief Schultz,
the three of us here know that the most dangerous person you can deal with is somebody that doesn't have anything to lose. And I hope that in addition to these two businessmen that are running a diplomatic operation over there under the president, have somebody telling them about the culture and history and the way that those people think, which is different than the way that Western people think. I'm not saying they're different humans or of any less value, but they're different. We tend to be influenced by one or two generations. These guys are influenced by hundreds and thousands of years. And so they just think differently. We can't rationalize with them. One of the other, in fact, it might be my catchphrase when I was in police work. I always told people, I don't make threats, I make promises. And that's one thing that Trump is good at. He doesn't make idle threats. If he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. And if Iran doesn't back down, then he's going to have to carry out the threat. Now, the domestic concern about that is I totally believe their threats that there will be attacks, and that doesn't mean they're going to shoot their bombs at our bombs. That means they're going to be on U.S. territory, and they're going to attack military installations and sensitive civilian targets. So this is a red flag. It's a heads up for American law enforcement, because we will feel the effects. If they're going to suffer, they're going to make us suffer.
Well, good point. Travis, anything on this, or?
No, I mean, one thing that we tend to get from President Trump is countries seem to be a lot less reckless, right? I mean, every president before Trump, we would get the occasional bombing at a military base, or, you know, you look at what they did in New York City even before 9/11, we would get this. And because I think for the most part, they figured we can do this. And what are they going to do? Bomb some aspirin factories, Bill Clinton, you know, and scare us. And so one thing that I think President Trump has done for us is, I think in a sense, we don't have that much of a concern, because from a country, they know that deep repercussions would come. But Iran, we always seem to have an Iran, don't we? We always seem to have one out there that does this stuff. So I think that President Trump's take is we're going to be the aggressor and be progressive in this instead of waiting to get Americans killed. And so we'll see how it shapes out. But I agree with you. Something will occur, but I don't think we're going to see the wars that we saw in the past. I mean, you look at when they went to Venezuela. I mean, the government has got some tools that we don't even know about that really create havoc, and I think can mitigate the death toll to Americans.
Yeah, I like that, because, you know, you can have a show of force and just an overwhelming show of force, and I think it seems obvious to me that the way we've fought some wars in the past, we just haven't done that. And I know Trump doesn't want a long, protracted war, so I can't wait to see what they're going to do. But I agree with the chief. There's likely going to be some fallout that you just can't prevent. I mean, crap, we've had open borders for 4 years, so we've got a lot of terror cells over here that maybe haven't been activated yet. But, you know, that's going to happen. But I'd rather that happen than these yahoos have a nuclear bomb that they're going to aim at Israel or one of our partners, or even try to, you know, hook it onto a Russian, hypersonic freaking missile and send it over our way, you know. So,
well, we're fortunate that Russia has been severely affected in their military capacity by their war in Ukraine. They might not be quite as ready to interject themselves in any other international conflict, because they're kind of running on their last oxygen, I think.
Yeah, agreed, and a lot of old equipment from what I understand. So, you know, well, we'll see what happens. You know, a lot of the special forces guys I've talked to said that, you know, the kids, when you're a child over there in Iran and these other places, and they whisper in your ear from birth, you know, to hate America, hate the infidels, and there's just a mindset. It's just hard to wrap your head around. It's really hard to relate being here. You just have to accept the fact that these guys, they operate with a different set of rules, or different motivations, and what you typically use to dissuade people is not going to work with them. We got 17 seconds, guys, coming up for our next commercial break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, time to talk about Compliant Technologies at complianttechnologies.com. And they are committed to providing non-lethal solutions to help officers gain the upper hand safely and rapidly in a humane, low-optics manner, utilizing what they call their CD3, which stands for Conductive Distraction and De-escalation Technology. Now, their flagship product, we all know by now, especially Travis and myself, it's called the Glove. It's helped officers I say tens of thousands of times. It's already been replaced by over 250,000 deployments with no injuries. And you heard that correctly. You said no injuries. The Glove has actually achieved non-lethal status in an arena that predominantly can only offer less lethal results. And when it comes to weapons retention, transition to a sidearm or conductive energy weapon, the Glove and CompliantTechnologies.com, they have virtually eliminated weapons confusion. So stay ahead of the game with Compliant Technologies and the revolutionary CD3 that hundreds of agencies have already turned to nationwide. And friends, take it from me, when it comes to safety, this is one of the most common sense, hands-on solutions that's ever come along. Go to CompliantTechnologies.com today and tell them the Chip sent you. All right, 4 minutes, guys, before we come back to the radio portion of the show. All right, I love it. We're cruising right along here, and we got to get that video up on the Wounded Blue if we can in the last week of doing the fundraising drive, so people can actually see what this thing does. So, not to mention the fact I went to a lot of trouble to create that video, and it took me hours to find the music, Travis. But I just with Travis's body and with his smooth kind of suave movements, I thought that sound, that song. Put Travis in slow motion and kind of let him go. And every time there's a beat, it switches frames and kind of like, Travis, you inspired that.
There wasn't a whole lot inspiring about that event.
Oh, I still need to get the second half of that where Travis gives his words after it's done, where he just says that, man, if you're a police leader and you're not arming, you're not giving this to your guys, like. This is what if you care about your troops, you're going to give them this. It was inspiring.
Oh, it eliminates half of use of force it eliminates half of officers being killed tomorrow. It's that simple. You can say you don't believe that. Well, you don't know what you're talking about. At half, 75% of all deadly force encounters occur within 10 feet. 50% occur within 5 feet. That's where the Glove would come into play. I'm telling you right now, if every cop had one of these tomorrow, there's a 50% less chance we're having to bury him. And it's just that simple. And you can subscribe to whatever 4-letter cuss word organization's telling you to get because they spent the most money on marketing or advertising. Just shut up. Tasers don't work well over half the time. They admit to that, right? And it's a good tool in some situations, but this thing is a tool in almost every situation. And it works every single time. It's not like it does not. There's not a failure rate.
Yeah,
I think once the street criminal element discovers that this is being used, they'll do preemptive compliance. Like, of all the times I've deployed a taser, I never had to send a bolt down. I just painted them with that laser, and they were like, immediately in "don't tase me, bro" mode. And I think we could get to that point with the Glove and stop things before they start.
Did you ever do
it'll just get out there?
You ever do just the crackle of the taser to get them to comply, Chief?
Oh yeah. that and when I'm wearing my cup to hit myself in the crotch with a nightstick, those two things will intimidate people.
Don't give Travis ideas. I can see him trying that at home and injuring himself, and then his wife calling me and saying, "What did you get my husband to do?" I can see that now.
Well, Travis is an athlete. He knows how to use that equipment. I had to learn.
Wow. This is what I missed for the last 8 days, gentlemen. Right here. What's going on right now? This is what I missed.
Yeah, that's going to drive you to your next vacation too.
Yeah, it just might. So, guys, thanks for typing the messages on the stream here. I see that we've got Bruce Dwyer and a lot of the other guys. Sergeant George is on there as well. Thanks, guys, for all the postings. Appreciate it. And did anyone else see the news clip where NYPD was assaulted by a crowd throwing snowballs? Some of them had rocks in them, and then when they hurt. Okay, I guess if they're hurting the cops, he wants this stuff to stop. So I had not seen those videos, Bruce. I don't doubt that it's happening. But yeah, I mean, it would kind of suck if you used lethal force on someone throwing a snowball and it didn't have a rock in it. But then again, I don't want to get hit with a rock that's packed with snow around it either coming at me. 6 seconds, guys. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome back. Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip DeBlock, and I'm your host. We're joined by Dr. Travis Yates, retired police major from Tulsa Police Department, also Dr. Joel Schultz, retired police chief. And we have been talking about a lot of things, but we've been talking about Iran, and it almost seems like saying the likelihood of going to war is almost an understatement, because I'm convinced it's going to happen. But we've got another main topic, and our last of the three main topics that we had lined up. RVMnews.com, White House roast Trudeau after Team USA's Olympic gold victory. Now we had the men's and the women took gold, and so the White House sees an historic Olympic victory on Sunday. They take a public swipe at former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau after Team USA captured gold in the men's hockey at the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Games, as reported by the New York Post. Now, the United States ended a 46-year Winter Olympics gold medal drought in men's hockey, and they had a pretty impressive overtime 2-1 win over Canada. And Jack Hughes delivered the decisive moment, scored the golden goal off a cross ice feed from Zach Werenski, and they clinched the championship. It apparently, in Trump style, following the win, President Trump placed a congratulatory phone call to the team. Now, we had our FBI director, Kash Patel, was there in the locker room with these guys, jersey, celebrating. And I believe it was Cash's phone that hooked up these guys on speaker with the president, which is I thought kind of cool. Past presidents, before people get their panties in a wad, Obama, was Obama himself, not the FBI director, the president himself was in the locker room with the team previously. And we've had other guys, that have done this too. So don't get too excited to the left there. But so the president places a congratulatory phone call to the team. That was kind of cool. The official White House account on X used the occasion to respond to a past post by the Prime Minister Trudeau. So after Canada defeated the U.S. in the Four Nations face-off that happened last year, Trudeau wrote on social media, quote, "You can't," meaning cannot, "take our country, and you cannot take our game," unquote. And with the Olympic result reversing the outcome on the sports stage, the White House quoted Trudeau's post, and they shared a photo of a bald eagle standing atop a Canadian goose, a symbolic jab at the former Canadian leader. And I have it on good authority that Trump is going to offer them that if they become the 51st state, that we might be willing to share the gold with them as well from the match that happened Sunday. Commentary on this, guys? I thought it was hilarious.
Well, it was a great game. I was up early watching it. I will tell you, we got really lucky, but hey, I'll take it because I don't know if you watched it, but they got twice as many shots on goal as we did. Just some stuff went our way. But man, it's the Trump effect, right? I mean, that poor figure skater talked some noise on the country. She was supposed to win it. She finished 8th. Trudeau talked noise on the United States and Trump. He's not the president anymore. So yeah, you got to just shut your mouth and play the game, stay in your lane. And I think things will work out. But yeah, pretty cool deal. Trump called them and invited them to State of the Union right then and there, and they were excited. And of course, that was the outrage of the week, right? That we were actually happy that America won the hockey game and we were celebrating. I don't know how to make out for it other than politics and social media has ruined so many people's brains. Democrat, Republican, you should be proud that America won the hockey game, but not everybody thinks that way.
So the kid that took the stick to the mouth, anybody have any scoop on him? I love that kid. He wouldn't shut up about how proud he was to be an American after winning this. And there he is, he's missing what, 2 or 3 teeth and, cracked and golly. Yeah. Beautiful. Just so impressive, man. Young kid. That's what we need. We need that guy to reach our young people, man. Wow. Speaking of young people, Chief Schultz.
Well, first of all, Donald Trump needs to invite as many people as he can to his State of the Union address because there are going to be a lot of vacant seats out there, I understand, with the Democrat boycott. I'm still hung up on the Crotchgate scandal and the badminton cheaters, so that took some of the joy out of the hockey win. So
I heard that the female hockey team that took gold, from what I'm understanding, they were no look. I've been on vacation. I've been out of pocket for 8 days, and I'm not up to speed on all the stuff going on in the news. Although I tried to get caught up when I got back. But did they turn down a trip to the White House, a visit to the White House after they win gold and got an invite from Trump?
Yeah, I don't think it was a trip to the White House. I think they turned down State of the Union because they said they had a scheduling conflict. Who knows what the truth is, but they'd be ridiculous. It would be crazy if they turned down a trip to the White House if you win Olympic gold. So they would get. I mean, that's what's so crazy about Twitterville, right? Everybody thinks that Twitter's reality. No. If you don't go to the White House after you win gold, you will not be beloved by the majority of Americans. Right? You may appease the 20% of the insane people that take shotguns to Trump's house, with gasoline, but most people are going to think you're an absolute loon bag if you don't go to the White House after you win a gold medal. So I would assume that they're going to go.
Yeah, and you probably aren't going to be invited back. I mean, come on. So yeah, scary stuff. So, and then is it called curling? Where they had the thing on the ice and they fan and they I tell you, my wife.
Yeah, it was on every night. It was on every night for 3 weeks. I was just glad to see a hockey game.
I gotta admit, I don't want to embarrass, but I got to be impressed with because there's a whole strategy level on that I was totally unaware of. And now I know a lot more than what I used to know. So I was pretty impressed. I mean, you can get some $120 kid that weighs $120, and he's just like a rock star on the friggin' ice doing that curling event. I was pretty impressed.
Those soccer moms are the best athletes. They all have to have jobs. Those soccer moms can bring it home. Wow. You don't see a fat curler, Chip. They're all exactly what you want.
Well, I'm watching them, men and women. They have to get down. Now, look, I'm coming back. Remember, I went to Georgia in April, and I blew up. I fell and I messed up my knee bad. I had to have surgery. So now I just go back. But I'm watching how low they have to get on the ice when they're sending that thing up when they're launching it. Dude, there's no way. If I was ever able to get down that low, I would not be coming back up without help, man. And I can't believe the position they can put their body in when they're launching that stuff on the ice.
Yeah, you're talking.
It's impressive, dude. Yeah.
I think that was Jeff Winiger's actual sport. He talks hockey, but I think he was a curler.
I was going to say figure skater. You may be on to something though, Chief. So, well guys, are you? I tell you what. Let's we got plenty of time here, but I'd like to go on to this Detroit police chief that's walking back the firing of the officers for calling Border Patrol. So Fox2Detroit.com. So Fox covered it. Interesting story. It's not the first time we've had an agency go after the officers working on, especially a task force that are calling Border Patrol. But listen to what happened. Listen how it goes down. So we're to Detroit. This is Fox 2. Detroit's top cop. So the chief is walking back his demand to fire 2 officers for getting Border Patrol involved in investigation. So there's pushback after Detroit police chief initially called for the firing of a sergeant and an officer because they contacted Border Patrol during traffic stops. The chief softened his stance on Friday, though. I'm sure there's a backstory we don't know about. But 30-day suspensions without pay were handed down on Thursday night to a Detroit police officer and a sergeant whose name is Denise Wallet. Both officers recently called Border Patrol during separate traffic stops. So this is 2 different instances. Border Patrol agents responded, detained undocumented individuals involved, which means that they are illegal. Earlier in the week, Chief Todd Bettison called for the officers, the sergeant and the female, to be fired, saying that contacting Customs and Border Protection violated department policy. And this is a point of contention. And here's a quote saying, "This incident should make it clear, however, that I, as chief, will continue to vigorously enforce DPD policies." And in a post on X on Friday, Homeland Security said it's absurd that 2 Detroit police officers would face punishment for alerting Customs Border Patrol about a criminal illegal alien. They are American heroes who chose public safety first. Now, Bettison, the chief, now says that the suspensions, which were finalized by the Detroit Police Board of Commissioners, that they are sufficient. I thought that was sufficient. I supported them, and I'm satisfied. So he's talking about suspending instead of being fired. but there's some more stuff to the story. So our female, Sergeant Denise Wallet, and it's spelled just like a wallet, W-A-L-E-T, she filed a federal lawsuit against the department on Friday. Now, remember, this is when, not when they we're supposed to get fired, but this is when they changed their position and they're getting suspended for like 30 days, right? And here's what she says: absolutely no policy was violated whatsoever. And this, she's saying this through her attorney, Solomon Radner. Radner says that Wallet, the sergeant, contacted Border Patrol to help identify someone who did not have any identifying documents, which he argues is not a policy violation. And at some point, she called her supervisor, a lieutenant, and said, hey, what do I do? We can't identify this guy. And the lieutenant, knowing the policy and the following the policy, he said, hey, call Border Patrol. So she's doing what her supervisor, the lieutenant, told her to do. We're going to be talking about that right after commercial break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, it's time to talk about GunLearn at gunlearn.com. And you know, as law enforcement officers, we deal with guns and we deal with ammo every day. And it's what we don't know about them that actually gets us in the trouble: injuries, civil lawsuits, accidental discharges, misidentifications, lost prosecutions, and also disciplinary issues. But gunlearn.com, they have your back. You can quickly become extremely firearm knowledgeable by simply learning 14 training modules from the convenience of your home or your office, or by attending a live seminar at gunlearn.com. You can also become a safe, accurate, and competent certified firearm specialist like our very own Captain Brett Bartlett and also attorney Ken Afianco. Now, the course has had huge success in raising the bar of firearm knowledge, and GunLearn has been a trusted source all the way back since 2011 by gun manufacturers, federal agencies, forensic organizations, and police departments nationwide. Now, the founder, Dan O'Kelly's got a deal for you. If you have your own agency, if you're a chief or sheriff, you can host a seminar for absolutely no cost. Amazing opportunity. Go to gunlearn.com to get more info. All right, guys, 2 minutes before we come back to the radio portion of the show.
Yeah, I'm going to tee the chief up on this one, Chip, because that's a chief story right there. That's pretty interesting. So I would just tee him up on that story.
The one we just finished?
But Travis, we're both going to be mad about this, and you express that much better than I do.
Mad?
Yeah, you're the rant specialist. But I'll be glad to take it first. I
got to check. I got to see if that domain's available. Rant specialist. So specialist.
Oh yeah,
pretty good. Rantspecialist.com.
So MVS says that New York is hiring people to shovel snow at $30 an hour, but you need to have 2 forms of ID to get hired. I thought it was more than 2, but he says, but of course you don't need any for voter ID, which is true.
Where Bernie Sanders is like, I don't even know where to get my birth certificate. Dude, you have a passport. You know where to get a birth certificate. I don't even know. I can't figure out how to get a birth certificate, which, by the way, I've had to do, and there's literally hundreds of online services that go get your birth certificate for you. You don't have to even leave your house to get your birth certificate. I mean, these people are just outright. They just think that their audience are stupid. That's what they think.
That's what it's got to be. You know, what an insult it would be.
You know, the governor of California wouldn't be able to get one either because he had a low SAT score and he can't read.
He's just like the African American population. He can't read.
Yeah.
These people are so ridiculous, man.
If you're black or a lib and these guys are representing you, how insulting is that? I mean, yeah.
It is wild. It is wild. That's why I think the illegal immigration thing was so important to them, because I think they're sort of losing a stronghold on that. But they're assuming that illegal immigration would vote for them. I actually don't think that that's actually the case.
I'll be right. Here we go, guys. Back to radio. All right, guys, welcome back. Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip the Block, and I'm your host. And we've got Dr. Travis Yates, retired police major from Tulsa. We've also got Dr. Joel Schultz, retired police chief. Guys, we just got done talking about Detroit police chief walking back his call to fire 2 officers because they called Border Patrol. The female officer, even though they decided to do 30-day suspensions in lieu of firing them, she just filed a federal lawsuit saying she didn't do anything wrong and that she contacted her supervisor, the lieutenant, and asked him what to do when they had people they couldn't identify. and he said, call Border Patrol. So we have two open mics. Whoever wants to start us off first, but I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
Well, I'm sure Detroit has a very strong police union, being that super union city, and I hope they just beat the snot out of this situation with this lawsuit. I cannot imagine. So much of my career has been knowing, as you know, working in small environments, that I can call the feds, and I've called about half of the 80-something federal agencies that are out there, not just state and local. So to imagine that a department has an official policy that we will not even talk to another law enforcement agency is just insane on its face. So I don't know what more you can say about that except to grieve over how stupid that was.
What's so wild is, first off, it's never the business of a chief, and I love to see Dr. Schultz weigh in on this. The chief of police should never come out and say, I'm advocating for firing an officer. Well, you've lost all due process right at that point. So once again, whatever discipline that officer's getting will get back with back pay and probably more money than that. But then to even suggest that let's say it was a policy violation, to even suggest that if you violate one policy violation, that you just get fired, right? That you just get fired. Obviously, there are certain policies where potentially that could happen, but really, an administrative policy like that, if it does exist, and I actually believe her when she says it doesn't, because no department anywhere has a policy that says you cannot talk to another law enforcement agency. They may have a policy about deporting people or whatever, or sanctuary cities, but they don't have a policy that says you can't speak to another law enforcement official. And so I believe her when she says that. So what he made the decision is what we talk about in leadership and courageous leadership all the time, is these chiefs have a decision to make. Am I going to do what's right, even though 20% of the purple hair suburban moms will be upset at me, or am I going to fall and keep the 20% of the purple hair suburban moms that have a streak of pink in them, keep them happy? And he just made a cognitive decision to just stand there on camera to make this outrageous statement to keep this small segment happy, which is not America. That's Twitter. That's not what America thinks. So most people see this for what it is. It's ridiculous, virtue signaling at its finest. Detroit actually has a pretty fine police department, but apparently a really dumb police chief.
Yeah. I didn't see the lieutenant's name on the discipline list either. The one that supposedly gave the female sergeant, the instruction to call Border Patrol. So,
well, it's political theater, and when you're doing theater, you can choose who your actors are and what script they're going to read from. And I hadn't thought about that aspect, Travis, but we see this in a lot of situations where officers are, as Chip would say, in the grease. You get a criminal investigation, a kidnapping, a homicide, a series of rapes, and the administrator will say, well, I'm sorry, we can't release any information about that. But when an officer is in trouble, we got to fire this guy. We're going to send this to a grand jury. We can't tolerate this kind of behavior. So the due process goes out the window. So again, I'm going to be on the sidelines cheerleading for this lawsuit.
All right, good. We'll keep everybody informed as things progress. We got 5.5 minutes. Let's we got two videos. So let's do the K9. I love K9 bike videos, right? Rumble.com, our favorite law enforcement video channel called This Is Butter. We have a body cam video showing officers and a K9 nabbing Daytona Beach carjacking suspects. More in Port Orange, Florida. So it makes my peeps in Florida look bad. But law enforcement officials, they released details on Friday, February the 20th, about a suspected carjacking that occurred on Valentine's Day. So we got Daytona Beach police. They issue a bulletin that a vehicle had been carjacked at gunpoint by 4 suspects. It ended up being an adult driver, and then we got 3 juvies in there, right? And so it's traveling to Port Orange, and they spot it. They pull it over behind a gas station, and when it stops, the driver takes off. And then we have a juvie, I think the in the front seat taken off, and then we got the 2 in the back that kind of stay there, and they get apprehended pretty quickly. But the vehicle it crashed into a road sign. It became disabled. The driver was Therese Thomas, 18 years old, so he's still a teenager but an adult. He bails and gets caught, and then we've got a passenger, the 16-year-old. He flees the car. That's the one we're concerned with, because that's where the action that I love happens. So the 2 other juveniles from Daytona Beach, they get caught, but we have a police dog. This K9 deputy rolling up on the scene. and he bails out. He's in a foot pursuit, but the dog's out there with him, right? And so we all know, I'm watching because I'm like, there's another cop there. And I'm thinking, dude, when they release that dog, dude, you freeze, right? Because, that dog is like a freaking, heat-seeking missile. Whatever is moving and has blood in its veins, it's going for, right? So the dog, it didn't see anything about it biting anyone else, but it did take this kid down. And it says that Trez Thomas, the driver, was taken early on, but this dog bit this kid, and there was a cop right next to him, and the canine deputy, as he's approaching, is telling I believe pretty much he was telling the guy, "Hey, look, just don't get involved. Let the dog do his thing." And it looked like the dog had the kid by the fingertips, if I'm not mistaken. It was just like, I was just like cringing because the kid's. And I say the kid, he's probably 17, but he looked like he was the size of a 22-year-old or older. He's like cringing in pain, but they're giving him commands. Once he complies, they release the dog. He's fine. They go back and they search the car. They get a 9mm handgun, ski mask, and gloves inside the car. All four are arrested for armed carjacking with an additional charge of fleeing and looting for the driver. So that's the way it goes down. Commentary, guys.
Well, I've been outside of a car when I heard the words "dog out." That's not a comfortable feeling whatsoever, because dogs are colorblind and they don't identify between police officers and suspects. And so you just sort of hope for the best. But you're right. That particular time I jumped on top of a car, but if you're away from a car, you can't get some height. You've got to just be still, because if you try to run or try to move quickly, that's not great. So I love the force multiplier of a dog. Man, that canine officer's got to make sure the officers aren't out and about. We would always get upset on a perimeter if they didn't announce first that they were about to let the dog out to let people get inside their cars. So obviously, pretty incredible resource for law enforcement. It's got to be done responsibly for sure.
I think it's important to point out that the two other passengers immediately complied with the officers, and they did not get bitten. They were peacefully arrested. I'm not a canine expert. I had a canine on the department, and I agree it's a great asset. But it seemed like the kid was already under control with 3 officers on top of him while the dog was still biting. And I don't know if that kid's going to end up with a check from the county on that deal or not. I think the report writing is going to have to be really good on this to justify the dog continuing the bite when the suspect was essentially under control. And I hate to voice a criticism, but just looking at that objectively, and I think bite dogs in particular, I didn't supervise a bite dog, but a bite dog has to obey the command to stop. And I didn't hear that. I don't know if that command was made or if the dog was just enjoying themselves. You got to understand, these dogs, that is the highlight of their life. They love chewing on a bad guy. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, and he's not going to be playing piano anytime soon. I'll tell him that right now, because that dog bit onto those fingers and didn't let go.
Yeah, there goes his violin career.
We got 37 seconds, but I want to get this other one in. Man arrested for aggravated battery on a peace officer after he shows off his body. Rumble.com. This is part of the channel. We're in Springfield, Illinois. So Springfield police, they get this crazy guy, and I think crazy is a good description. Kyle James Walsh from Potomac, Illinois. Look, he approached the officers, knocks on the officer's window, goes up to the officer's car, screwing around with that. The officer's telling him to stop. He starts taking his clothes off, his shirt off. He's doing something with his pants. He turns around. He moons the officer. I see him reach back and they dither, but I see him pull his buttocks apart. I mean, there was a taser involved and the guy gets arrested. How do you deal with stuff like that from a trained professional, Travis Yates?
It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to shoot a taser into a guy's butt, and the guy didn't
Absolutely.
do it. I don't know what he keeps threatening the taser. Well, what else do you need to see? The dude is out of his mind. So if he moons you, I mean, it's a big, giant target. You can't miss. One probe goes into one cheek, one goes in another cheek, and we'll watch him shake.
Wow. You agree, Chief?
110%.
All right. Fantastic show. Thank you so much, Dr. Joel Schultz and also Dr. Travis Yates. It's been a great one. I do want to mention the Wounded Blue at thewoundedblue.org. And guys, please support our sponsors. We have our title sponsor, Gauls at Gauls.com, CompliantTechnologies.com, our satellite sponsor. We have Gunler.com, MyMedicare.live, SafeguardRecruiting.com. Hey, when you need guys on your agency, call them. And TwoBells.com. We'll see you guys back tomorrow. Live show, 12 noon Eastern. And we're going to keep going for another minute and a half, guys, to keep the satellite company happy. Any final words for our listening audience, gentlemen? You guys have always got stuff to say.
I would invite people to look at my blog, see some history of years of writing there, just out of curiosity. And of course, I always have a book or two available to you if you want to email me at schultzco@gmail.com and see what's on there. You know, Chip, when you said you've got a website that's live, but it hasn't been read yet, I'm like, my book feels that pain.
you can feel you see the correlation. Okay,
it's out there, but nobody's reading it.
It's Blogspot for people that are not watching the video. It's joelschultz.blogspot.com. There you go, Travis.
And for those kids that don't understand what Blogspot was, it used to be really hard to get a website, and we had to use Blogspot. So go read the articles. It's a wealth of content. It's before AI. Dr. Joe could have his AI where he would just tell you stuff, but that blog will tell you everything you need to know.
All right. I love it. There you go, guys. Yep, we're back live shows. So welcome back to the live show version. Hey, everybody watching or on LinkedIn, we've got, Rumble is just rocking and rolling with Bill BC and MVS. And this is Butter and all the guys over there. Chili. We've also got guys over here we're on StreamYard, but we're watching everybody on YouTube and on all the Facebook pages, that we're on as well. So guys, everybody, Sharon Caudell and Bruce Dwyer and Sergeant George and all the guys that are over there, we appreciate you guys watching the show. So thanks for the support. Susan Ashford, I don't remember seeing you before. I think that you may be a new user. So Susan Ashford Kendon, thanks for watching the show. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern, and thanks for the support.